Welcome to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch, joined by Sean Zerillo to look at Wednesday's ALCS Game 3 between the Toronto Blue Jays and Seattle Mariners. Shane Bieber against George Kirby in that win. But before we get to that game, we need to recap a little bit of last night's Dodgers-Brewers Game 2. Sean has a bet, a futures bet, based off the result of that. But Sean, Jesus Christ, we were so close to hitting our 15-1 SGP last night. This is a prime example of why your SGP stakes should always be very, very low. You bet the individual legs, maybe throw a little couch change on the parlay in case it hits. We hit Dodgers money line. Max Muncy came through, hit a homer, hit his homers and his total bases there. We had Yamamoto under 6.5 strikeouts. He's going, and Dave Roberts is not pulling him. They said after the 8th inning, they said they're gonna have Yamamoto start the 9th, and they have Vessi already behind him in case he gets into any trouble. And the Brewers are swinging at the first pitch. There's a lot of two strike counts where they're grounding out, they're flying out, whatever. He's at 6 strikeouts. Andrew Vaughn's up, 27th out of the game, and I think it was a 3-pitch strikeout, maybe a 4-pitch strikeout. Crushed our under 6.5 strikeouts for Yamamoto. Crushed our SGP. Man, that was heartbreaking.
That was absolutely brutal. Talking about threading the needle to be efficient enough to get all the way to the 27th out while also striking out just 7 batters total, or getting to 7 strikeouts. That's at least 21 strikes plus the foul balls plus the balls on top of it. But yeah, and then Andrew Vaughn being the final batter he faced, the guy with the highest strikeout rate on the team. So I knew it was cooked as soon as I saw Vaughn was up 3rd in the inning, and the Dodgers had chances to put away the game in the top of the 8th, the top of the 9th, to blow it open, which would have allowed them to bring in Ben Kasparius to get some work in, and would have removed Yamamoto from the game. We also had the chance, too, that Yamamoto walked, one of those 3 guys in the 9th inning and hit both the over 1.5 walks and the under 6.5 strikeouts. Collin, where do you think, and I gave out that under 6.5 overnight, in Payoff Pitch. By the time I woke up, or by the time our show ended yesterday, it was already moving from even money plus 102 to around minus 120, which is where my price target was set. Where do you think that line closed?
Oh, probably like minus 150 or something. I don't know.
That's exactly where the number was.
Yeah.
Minus 150, under 14.5, under 5.5 was plus 125. So most of the market ended up moving it even off of the 6.5 all the way down to 5.5, and it still took him until the 27th out in order to clear it. So yeah, extremely frustrating. But hey, that's
it was a
betting.
Good day. Hey, it was a good day for the pod still. We hit Dodgers money line. We hit the Muncy homer. It could have been an incredible
It's an example
day.
of good process and bad result. You're going to make some phenomenal bets sometimes. If I told you that line was going to close minus 150 when it wasn't even money, you would have put 2 units, 3 units on it, right? So it would have been a much bigger bet had you known where the juice would close. So unfortunate circumstances. We got the Muncy homer. We got the hardest part of the 3-legger. Dodgers obviously never really looked like they were in danger of losing that game, but yeah, a little bit frustrating not cashing that Yama under, considering where the juice closed.
Yeah, we were pod was 3 and 4 yesterday and plus 0.7 units. So it's a plus day. Also, I had talked about being too afraid to bet Max Muncy walk in addition to all these other Muncy props. Sean Kerner, our odds maker, our prop master, locked in a Muncy. I saw him lock in a walks prop. I don't know if it was right before the game started or even live in game. He locked in a Muncy walk, and he walked too. Muncy, he's a moneymaker. I can't wait to look at what his props are for Game 3 tomorrow. But in terms of this series goes, I mean, I even more so than Mariners Blue Jays. Like, we've been on the Dodgers this whole way. Now they're going into LA with a 2-0 lead. Not just that, but in recent history, I don't know if a team has gotten through 2 games of the LCS with as rested of a bullpen as the Dodgers bullpen now is, thanks to Yamamoto. Even in Game 1 of that series, we saw Sasaki come in for 20 pitches, but they had a couple days off before that, waiting after their Phillies series ended. So like, these arms have not been throwing that much, which is incredible for them. Since last Thursday, tomorrow's Thursday, it'll be a week with no Vesia, no Sheehan, no Banda, Dreyer, Kasparius, as you mentioned, Robleski, Clayton Kershaw. The only guys who will have thrown in a week are Sasaki and Trinan, who threw in game 1 behind Blake Snell. We've been on the Dodgers all playoffs. We've been on the Mariners all playoffs. They're both now up 2-0. Dodgers and Brewers have an off day today. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts on, future outlook for this series now with the Dodgers up 2-0.
Yeah, there's value on the Dodgers to sweep, and both the Mariners and the Dodgers are favored to sweep their series at this point. I mean, they're up 2-0, and they're favored in each of the next 2 games, so they should be favored to sweep at this point. We discussed yesterday, under the current 2-3-2 format, when you win the first 2 games on the road, those teams are 24-3 in terms of securing the series ultimately and advancing. The 85 Royals, 86 Mets, 96 Yankees, the only 3 teams to come back from that deficit after losing the first 2 games on the road. Now, I project the Dodgers at about 93%, so above that mark, but I only project the Blue Jays at like 87%.
Mariners.
So slightly below that mark. Or the Mariners, rather. No value for me on the updated Mariners-Jays series line. I make it about minus 520 for Seattle. Best available number, plus 500. So no value there. The Dodgers and Brewers. The Dodgers are minus 185 at a minimum in game 3. They opened around minus 170, got that up to minus 185, even minus 190 in a lot of places.
It's minus 200, by the way. From the time we were talking pre-recording to right now, Dodgers game 3 are now minus 200 at DraftKings, so it just keeps moving in their direction.
So even if, we'll take the minus 185, right? Sure. Assume you can get the best available number on the Dodgers right now, or even a few minutes ago. In order for, and their odds to sweep the series at DraftKings are plus 170. Yeah, well, let's do it just for DraftKings because it's the same book, so it makes more sense. If the Dodgers are going to be minus 200 in game 3, in order for there to not be value on their odds to sweep at plus 170, they would have to be below minus 125 in game 4.
Which isn't going to happen.
There is no universe in which that happens.
With Ohtani on the mound.
They wouldn't be below minus 125 in any game on the road the rest of the series.
No.
So they're going to be, and I'm presuming game 3 is Glasnow against Mizorowski and bullpen, which for me gets the Dodgers to around minus 175. So I think the line is fine. I think the opening line was fine. If it's Glasnow against Mizorowski and bullpen. If it's Quintana and bullpen, it should be minus 200 or higher. Yeah. But if it's Mizorowski in bullpen, that means Quintana in bullpen is starting game 4. I mean, the Brewers are out of starters.
Yeah.
This has been like the most under-discussed thing is the Brewers never at any point had the pitching depth to get through games 3, 4, and 5 in LA.
Well, they did like 3 months ago.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part when they had Woodruff. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, coming into the playoffs and everybody trying to run the numbers and show their series probabilities and like project out how this is going to play out, like they never had the pitching depth to get through 3 straight games in LA. No. As I've alluded to, they kept getting Peralta start, bullpen game, off day, bullpen game, Peralta start. Like you can alternate that for so long when you're playing 3 straight games in LA. And by the way, they've now given the Dodgers 1 or 2 looks at all of their relievers. The Dodgers haven't given them any looks at any of their relievers. I don't even care about the rest part. I just care about seeing them and getting looks against them because that's going to add up over the course of a series. The Brewers are up against it at this point, but it's not like they're playing badly. I think the Dodgers are going to sweep. No, the market is just wrong at plus 170. If the Dodgers are minus 200 in game 3, I'm going to make them around minus 180 at a minimum with Ohtani. So the market between what the game 3 line is and what I'm telling you the game 4 projection will be, the Dodgers shouldn't be higher than plus 135 to sweep, plus 140 to sweep at best. And you're getting as high as plus 170 currently. So down to plus 150, Dodgers to win 4-0, Dodgers minus 3.5 games. It's the same bet. You can just find it listed in different markets in different ways. But down to plus 150, Dodgers to win games 3 and games 4. And if they win game 3, if you feel like taking the Brewers in game 4, you're going to be able to get a plus EV ticket on both sides and essentially free roll yourself because the Brewers will be above plus 170 or at least above plus 150 in a potential game 4. So yeah, I think that's certainly an actionable value bet on the Dodgers to sweep at this point, regardless of whether you have Dodgers futures or not. That's a nice sizable edge down to plus 150.
Yeah. So put another way, just to make it even more clear, especially for folks who maybe are new to betting baseball, people who are just finding us big into the playoffs, whatever. If the Dodgers are minus 200 game 3, they're probably going to be minus 180-ish game 4. You can go to actionnetwork.com, find our parlay calculator. Minus 200 minus 180 is a plus 133 parlay. And if you're parlaying those two, if you could parlay games 3 and 4, which you can't because there are not odds out yet for game 4, you would get plus 133. And if you're doing that, you're also betting on Dodgers to sweep, and there are odds out there right now that are Dodgers to sweep series at plus 170. So it's insane value no matter which way you look at it.
That's a DraftKings. I think FanDuel had closer to plus 155, but even that is still, enough of an edge to bet it. But that plus 170, I mean, I bet that last night. I put that in the app last night. I did not expect that to still be available this morning. I thought they would definitely move off of that number, especially as their money line has gone up from minus 170 to minus 200. So when we talk about derivative markets, should always adjust based off of the main market. Just to throw it back briefly to Mariners, Jays game 1, that game total moved up from, I believe, 7.5 to 8. And I had been staring at it at 7.5 and I missed it. And I was disappointed I missed it. And it ended up closing 8. A lot of money pushed it up to 8. But after I missed the 7.5, the Blue Jays team total had only gone from 5.5 plus 113 to 5.5 plus 108. And the Mariners team total had only gone from 3.5 plus money to 3.5 minus 103. If a total is going to move up a half run, if a game total is going to move up a half run, those team totals should be moving in concert with it by about 15 to 20 cents, not 5 cents. So when you miss out on a bet you may want, or when you see a market move for a bet you might like, NFL, for example, check the first half market, check the quarter markets, because those are all supposed to move in concert. If an under goes down in a football game, right? If you have under 44 and it goes down to 43, the passing yards should go down for the quarterbacks, right? There's other things that should correlate that also move in concert with the main market. So that's just my point in general. If the game 3 money line for the Dodgers is going to become juicier, their odds to sweep should also be reduced and not remain the same. So that's just, a pretty easy way and simple way to think about betting other things. Is the main thing moved, what else should be moving with it?
Before we move on, don't forget to sign up for Action Pro for real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Zerillo, Derek Carty, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code Payoff20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro. Use promo code Payoff20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, a lot of good stuff here on Dodgers Brewers. Let's move on to tonight's game. Blue Jays Mariners game 3. As I mentioned, Mariners up 2-0. Win tonight. Basically stamp that series, practically stamp their ticket to the World Series. Mariners minus 132 favorites right now at DraftKings. Blue Jays plus 109. Total of 7. Minus 116 to the over, minus 105 to the under. George Kirby against Shane Bieber. This is what the Blue Jays acquired Shane Bieber for, right? This right here. Mm-hmm. Go to Bieber instead of Chris Bassett. Max Scherzer in line for a potential game 4 start. Mm-hmm. Sean, I said last night the two series seem like, NLCS is an under series, ALCS is an over series. It's kind of how it's played out thus far. Is that kind of how it's playing out for you from an ALCS perspective tonight?
Yeah, I do like the over in this game. Unfortunately, it has moved. So when game 2 ended, FanDuel put out 6.5 minus 105 over. Caesars, DraftKings, a bunch of other spots put out 7 minus 105 over. I was like, do I bet the over 6.5 and under 7 here? Well, Caesars quickly moved off of the 7, went down to 6.5, aligning with FanDuel. I bet the over. Other people bet the over. And eventually, and it did stick at 6.5 minus 120 at FanDuel that night. Caesars ended up going back up to their initial line at 7. But the market is now closer to 7 minus 115 than it is to 7 at a pick'em price. So we have moved past the 6.5. It will not get to 7.5 because if it gets to 7.5, sharp people will bet the under 7.5. You can search for a live under potentially because all of the Mariners' high leverage relievers are rested tonight. So they're going to go Kirby, and then they're going to go to all the guys you saw in Game 5 against the Tigers, not the starting pitchers, but they're going to go back to Brash, Munoz, maybe not Bizzardo because Bizzardo threw 30 pitches in Game 2.
I don't know. They throw him every freaking game.
It doesn't matter. There was a really funny video the other day. I don't know if it was an AI generated image or what, but it looked like a Godzilla sized skeleton like walking over the earth. And the tweet was, "What would you do in this situation?" And the quote tweet, which was beautiful, was, "I'm bringing in Edward Bizzardo to get 3 outs." Yeah, Bizzardo's been otherworldly in this postseason and, has a rubber arm seemingly. So maybe we do see him again tonight. But similar to the Brewers series, I don't think John Schneider has done the best job managing his bullpen with a deficit. He's used Varland twice. He's used Fluharty twice. He's given the Mariners looks at all of his relievers. In terms of tonight's game, though, and why I thought the total was low. So Bieber has not been as good this year as he is relative to his reputation, as he has been in prior years. His stuff and his velocity are down significantly from when he won the Cy Young. That's nothing new. He's been there in the past few years. But what is most concerning this year, his hard hit rate is at a career high. His barrel rate is at a career high. His home run rate is also at a career high. He's just giving up harder contact and more damage than he has in the past. And that's with carrying a 245 BABIP and an 84% strand rate. So if anything, he's been lucky with runners on base and should probably have a higher ERA. The Mariners Tigers series was very low scoring, 5 runs in each of those games. But the teams combined hit under 200 with runners in scoring position. They stranded like 38 runners on base across those 3 games. And the Blue Jays, do not strike out nearly in the same universe as the Tigers. So if the Blue Jays are in those same spots, and those teams probably underperform by 2.5 hits, 3 hits with runners in scoring position, I expect the Blue Jays to get those hits where the Tigers did not, to actually cash in runners. Kirby has started 57 games at home at T-Mobile Park. Just 6 of those 57 games closed below 7. It was very rare to see a 6.5 for him, especially when I don't trust the starting pitcher on the other side. I think Bieber could potentially get shelled here. I think the Blue Jays could do enough to score a couple of runs off of Kirby, where the Tigers were just reliant on swinging for the fences. The Blue Jays are capable of rallying. This is still the team with the highest contact rate in baseball, going against the worst remaining defensive team in the playoffs. Kirby throws strikes. He doesn't have he has good stuff, but he doesn't have as wicked of strikeout stuff, I believe, as the other starters that the Blue Jays will face in this series. They're going to get pitches to hit against the command guy. They're going to be able to put them in play. Will the Mariners make mistakes defensively to allow Toronto to potentially score runs? You saw it, all year long, and then in the ALDS against the Yankees. Like, the Blue Jays put balls in play, guys bobble it, guys make mistakes, and stuff happens. They advance bases, they score runs in weird ways. They have power too, but they also are accustomed to scoring runs in weird ways, and they haven't yet done it in this series. And against the team as poorly defensively as the Mariners are, who have already made some mistakes, throwing a ball wide of first base, the Naylor play, JP Crawford is prone to mistakes as well. So I'm expecting at some point the Blue Jays to have an offensive outburst that is related to the Mariners' poor defense. I make this total about 7.4. So 7 Minus 105 is what I initially gave out. I'm comfortable with it up to minus 110, considering where the market has gone. That's a 1% edge. Minus 105 was a 2% edge. But in general, no value on the side for me here. No value on the updated series price. I just do like runs tonight after we got 5 runs each in each of the first 3 games in Seattle, these playoffs. Interaction Labs database. I mean, the Mariners haven't been in the playoffs much. Just 4 Mariners home games, and all 4 have gone under. The 3 in the Tigers series and the 18-inning game a few years ago that ended 1-0 against the Astros. So we've yet to see a Mariners game at T-Mobile go over in the playoffs, at least since 2005 in our action database. I'm not sure what the final scores were when they were playing in the early 2000s with their record-setting team. But yeah, over today between the Mariners and Jays up to 7 minus 110. And then, like I said, maybe a live under as well, considering you're going to be getting the Mariners high leverage arms finishing this one off, because they were able to get through game 2 with Emerson Hancock and Carlos Vargas, who gives every Mariners fan a heart attack. So they've used their worst relievers. Now they can use their best again.
Yeah, I was joking with someone just the other day about how Emerson Hancock went during that 15-inning game. It's like, if Emerson Hancock's not getting in during a 15-inning game, what the hell is he on your roster for? And the answer clearly was it's for when you're up 10-3 because he finally got it.
And as shaky as Vargas has been for them, these are still dudes throwing like 97 out of the bullpen. Like these are your worst relievers, and these dudes still have pretty ridiculous stuff. Vargas has pretty ridiculous stuff. He's not accurate with it. But even Hancock, moving him to the bullpen and having him throw harder, it's like, and he actually threw very well out of the bullpen as a reliever at the end of the year. He went up a level. So yeah, the Mariners are just loaded with arms, and do not doubt their chances to upend the Dodgers. They have the pieces. The more I go through, the more I compare these rosters head to head, the more you realize the Mariners' distinct bullpen advantage, the fact that, yes, the Dodgers have the better starting pitching, but hey, the Mariners are pretty close to them in every single game, if not have the advantage in the woo start. So I think Seattle has the pieces to do it. They're going to need Gino Suarez to potentially get back to what he's capable of doing. I think he's ultimately, if the Mariners and Dodgers play in the World Series, I think Eugenio Suarez may be the X factor in that series. Because if they get 2 home runs for him, or if they get nothing, may end up being the difference across a series like that. He'll also probably be a pretty interesting MVP play too, considering how poorly he's performed, what his odds might be, and the fact that he's going to get so many ABs in that series. So yeah, I don't want to skip ahead to a potential World Series between the Dodgers and Mariners. They are only up 2-0 each, but obviously the brain starts to naturally gear that direction and tell you, can anybody beat this Dodgers team? I do think the Mariners can. I really believe that.
Yeah, it's like the old adage: the series doesn't start until the home team wins a game, right?
And I saw people betting away, and I think this happened last year too. I saw people betting road teams to have more, or to go over the expected road team win total, whatever it was for the playoffs. Like road teams to win more games than home teams or something was a nice price. So there were props on that, and it seems to be coming to fruition again, where the road teams are making home field advantage look meaningless in the playoffs.
Yeah, a couple things before I get to my hitter props. You mentioned Suarez. It's a good tee up because I've got something on him. But a couple books are hanging 7.5 actually right now, with ESPN Bet and Hard Rock have 7.5, plus 120 at to the over, minus 145 to the under. So thought that was kind of interesting. And also just because I can't not, you mentioned the T-Mobile home game thing. 2001 ALDS. There were three games at T-Mobile, totals of 5, 6, and 4. And then the Yankees series in the ALCS. This is so funny. They played 2 games there, 6 and 5. So
I don't think a single game has gone over then. Probably.
No, we haven't had 7 runs scored in a single T-Mobile game in T-Mobile history. Which again, small sample sizes. But even if we go outside of Bet Lab's purview to 2001. All 4s, 5s, and 6s for those totals at T-Mobile. It's pretty wild. The funny thing too is that
they're certainly new.
When that series went to Yankee Stadium, so 1 and 2, 6 runs, 5 runs. Game 3 at Yankee Stadium, 17 runs. Game 4 at Yankee Stadium, 4 runs. Game 5 at Yankee Stadium, 15 runs. So
And you saw how the Blue Jays performed, in the Yankees series. Like they're
Yeah.
very much to me an over team, even though they're a very good defensive team.
Yeah.
Between their bullpen quality and their contact abilities, they're an over team
Yeah.
to me.
I don't
So
know if they ended the year as the hardest team in baseball to strike out, but they were in that range for most of the season. They were a team that when I was looking at strikeout props all season long, if a pitcher was facing the Blue Jays, I was looking at their K total under.
yeah, I
Which
think they
obviously
fell
the
off a
books.
little bit in the second half, but for the year, as in total for the year, they did finish number one.
Yeah. All right, couple player props here from me, and then we will get into our SGP for this game. See if we can come even closer than we did last night with Dodgers Brewers. I've got 3 Blue Jays hitters, 2 Mariners hitters. Mariners side, I'm really focused on Bieber's knuckle curve. You mentioned some of his struggles. He throws his knuckle curve 18.6% of the time. It's his 3rd most used pitch behind his 4-seamer and slider. The problem is based on these pitch classifications, at Baseball Savant, there's not a huge sample size of Mariners hitters facing a knuckle curve. The 3 that grade out really well all do so in fewer than 50 pitches seen this year. It's Randy Rosarina, Cal Raleigh, and Eugenio Suarez. Of those 3, Eugenio Suarez has seen the most and is the most successful against that pitch. But I still wasn't that comfortable with that, again, because of the small sample size and especially when factoring in Suarez's struggles. So I switched the pitch classification just to success against breaking pitches. So that will include Bieber's slider, which he throws 20% of the time. It's his 2nd most used pitch. Slider and knuckle curve, again, he combines to throw about 40% of the time. Suarez is by far the superior breaking ball hitter compared to those other 2 guys. Yes, even including to Cal Raleigh, at least from a home run perspective. Nearly half of Suarez's 43 home runs this year came against breaking pitches. He hit 20 home runs off breaking pitches in 43 home runs this year. And also, let's not forget, this guy hit 43 home runs this year. Easy to be overshadowed when your teammate hit 60. But yeah, 43 home runs, 20 came off breaking pitches. Cal Raleigh, again, 60 home runs, 11 came off breaking balls. Randy Rosarina, 27 home runs, 9 came off breaking balls. So I do think we're getting a little bit of a discount here on Suarez because he's been so bad in the playoffs. He's 4 for 29 right now in 7 games. An extremely small sample size, obviously. So this is the time to perhaps buy low on a dude who, again, hit 43 home runs during the regular season. So I'm on Suarez's total bases, 2+ at plus 180. And for him to hit a home run is plus 440 are the best odds out there on Suarez. The other Mariners hitter I added was Jorge Polanco. It's hard not to right now. I think this kind of falls in the same line of thinking that you said the other day, Sean, where it was like, oh, well, they're definitely not going to lose 2 straight at home. Like, I'm betting the Brewers because I can't envision them losing 2 straight at home. But it's kind of the flip corollary here where Polanco's been so hot that it's like, well, surely he's not going to have a great game again, right? So we get a little bit of a discount there. Polanco performs well against all of Bieber's offerings except the aforementioned knuckle curve. And as we just discussed, the sample sizes on that pitch are extremely small. So Polanco 2+ bases is plus 155. Polanco to homer plus 572. I think we're getting good value there. Again, we're expecting runs in this game. It's the first time, I was betting hitter props in the Tigers-Mariners series, and I felt like an asshole because it's like, there's only going to be 3 runs scored in this game. I'm trying to pick out the 3 guys who are going to have one. Luckily, Kerry Carpenter came through for us a few times. But the Blue Jays side against Kirby, I'm basically looking at 3 pitches, his 4-seamer, his slider, and his sinker. He does throw a knuckle curve as well, actually, but it's only about 12% of the time. A little bit less of an effect on my research here. There are a handful of hitters here who are worth potentially backing. It was hard to narrow down, actually. Guys I ultimately cut were George Springer and Ernie Clement. Springer was the toughest cut. He crushes fastballs. He's been pretty good against sliders and sinkers, but not quite as good as some of the other guys I'm going with here. I'm already, like, we can clip this. I'm kicking myself for when he hits a leadoff home run tonight, and I didn't bet him. But one of the guys I'm going with is Vlad Jr., hard not to. Incredibly successful against the fastball, sinker, and knuckle curve. The slider he's merely okay against, but 3 or 4 ain't bad in terms of success rate against pitches. And he's someone you're going to feel good at backing at the numbers he's coming in at. 2+ bases, plus 122, home run, plus 420. The other 2 guys, I'm only betting their bases. I'm not sprinkling in the home run here, although it's tempting because we're getting really good odds here. It's Addison Barger, Alejandro Kirk. Barger's actually the only Toronto hitter who's significantly above average against the slider, which is Kirby's second most used pitch, 27.4%. He's got really good numbers against the sinker and decent ones against the four-seamer. So I like Barger here at 2+ bases, which you can get at plus 210. And then Kirk is similar to Vlad Jr. Well, he's not similar to Vlad Jr. in literally any way, physique, playing style, whatever. But he's similar to Vlad Jr. in that he grades out really well against every pitch but Kirby's slider. And the slider numbers aren't necessarily bad. They're just not as above average as the other ones. And this is actually a really fun matchup, Kirk against Kirby. I should have looked up their head-to-head matchup because it's a guy who literally never strikes out against a guy who literally never walks anyone. So I like Kirk here at 2+ bases again at plus 165. So that is 8 hitter props. Again, small minus less than 1 unit on each. I think the 8 bets I added up to about 1.5, maybe 2 units in total in those 8 wagers. Sean, any thoughts on these? What you like, what you don't like, based on these odds and these projections?
So, firstly, Kirk 2 for 7 with a strikeout against Kirby. So, very limited sample there, but he did strike him out, which is fun.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of want to go back and watch that IV and see how that one went.
Right.
So, in terms of the players that you listed, who in the Action app prop tool popped up as potential value wagers, Addy Barger, who's one of my favorite players to get a hit, is minus 135, I believe. They projected him closer to a full hit today, and I think there's value on that probably to about minus 155, minus 160, maybe even a little bit higher. So Barger to get a hit. You also mentioned his success against sliders. We've seen the Mariners, not only Kirby, but also their relievers just spam slider. So I think he's probably the guy you want from the Blue Jays to produce today. On the Mariners side, you did mention Gino. I think with Gino, how he's performed, really struggled. Does have hits in his past 2 games, though. Hopefully, maybe starting to break out of it and find his swing again. He's been a disaster since the trade deadline, though, for Seattle. But his RBI today, I believe Action Labs projected him closer to 0.4 ribbies, and his over half a ribby was north of plus 200. So Gino to drive in a run, considering he will be in the full game. He's not a guy that they're going to platoon. And then also Barger to get a hit popped up as potential value bets in the Action Network app. From my perspective, just looking at the market, this is not based on projections or anything. This is just vibes. Bieber to not get 15 outs seem to be the direction I would lean. The Blue Jays are down 2-0. I'm expecting him to get hit, and they really can't afford for him to sell the game early. So they're going to have not a quick hook, but a quicker hook than they normally would with him in a 2-0 deficit. And if he's getting hit, I think he gets lifted from the game. The juice on both strikeout props, again, this is comparing sharper offshore books to domestic markets. It seemed like the over for both strikeout props for both starting pitchers over 4.5 was juiced a little bit more at the offshores than it was domestically. I saw Kirby like minus 140 over 4.5. I think I saw minus 115, at FanDuel. So over seems to be the direction on both strikeouts for pitchers, but I would lean under personally 14.5 for Bieber. I think 15.5 for Kirby is probably fine, considering they want to save their bullpen where they can. And if he's efficient, he's probably going to stay in. If they were down 2-0, I would certainly say under, but considering the 2-0 lead, I think 15.5 is probably fine for Kirby. So of all the props, Barger to get a hit, Gino to drive in a run, and then under 14.5 outs for Bieber is where I'd lean. Should also mention, too, we showed value on both Dom Canzone and Victor Robles to drive in runs as well. I do get worried about either or both getting pinch hit for, depending on matchups here. Canzone's not going to stay in the full game. If they have an option to hit a righty against him, hit Mitch Garver for him against the lefty, especially with Garver hitting so well.
Yeah, if a lefty comes in the game, if a lefty comes in the game and Canzone's spot in the lineup comes up, he's out of the game. Robles less likely, just because Canzone is basically his replace. They don't have a obvious outfielder to sub in there for him.
The other thing with Robles too is he's banged up. he's like very obviously playing through injury at the moment, so I don't even think he's 100%. And then there was another thing that was on my mind as well, but I'm not recalling it at the moment, so I'm going to throw it back to you to see if you have any more thoughts on this game.
Yeah, no, just that if Gino Suarez has some success, we're gonna have some issues with this podcast recording because my dog's name is Gino, and when she hears her name, her head perks up. She's not named after Gino Suarez; she's named after Gino Malkin. My wife's a big hockey fan.
Not Geno Smith.
Not Geno Smith either. And yeah, the slider thing with Barger, I did want to pull that up real quick. Just Barger against sliders this year, 348 WOBA, 492 slug. So
I like Addy Barger. He's been a big reason why they've had as good of a year as they have. He doesn't have the most like memorable superstar baseball name. Very much a white guy name with Addison, but
yeah,
I mean even a white girl name with Addison. It's great.
Yeah.
But it's the old Bill Simmons, Alexis Ajinka All-Stars with male athletes who have supermodel names.
Yes, Addison Barger definitely qualifies. For an SGP tonight, we'll go a little bit risk averse after our 15-1 heartbreaker last night. We could easily go over 7, Barger 2+ bases, Suarez home run, but we'll go with our prop tool, our prop projections here that are in line with the props I just gave out. So we'll go over 7. We'll go Addison Barger to get a hit, and Eugenio Suarez to drive in a run, just 1 RBI. It's plus 500 at DraftKings. So that's our official payoff pitch SGP for Mariners Blue Jays Game 3. We got to get out of here. So thanks for listening to today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description or visit actionnetwork.com/betnow. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. And also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, check out our new AI Quick Slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bet you're looking for. It'll create a quick slip link for you in a matter of seconds. We'll be back tomorrow with more playoff baseball, more payoff pitch, more bets. We have 2 games tomorrow. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. Yep. Yeah, we'll have Brewers Dodgers Game 3 in LA, and then Blue Jays Mariners Game 4, with the Mariners potentially going for the sweep there. We do know pitchers in that one. It's Max Scherzer against Luis Castillo, Game 4 there. Brewers Dodgers, it's Ohtani against whoever the hell the Brewers have left to throw after last night. But yeah, that'll do it. Thanks for listening. For Sean Zerillo, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast, and good luck with all your bets.